Now let's talk to Lisa in Canada, who's trying to navigate some family stuff this holiday season.
Mm.
Linda, what's on your mind? Or I'm sorry, Lisa.
Hi. So this is not me personally. I was just thinking in terms of the holidays are coming up, and there are some people who are atheists who struggle because they came from religious families, and there's pressure to revert. If you know what I like to go, why can't you reconsider this your
Sure.
religion or whatever? And I just wanted to ask, because if there's any atheists out there, and there probably are a lot of people who come from religious families, what advice would you give to anyone in that kind of situation?
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll jump in and just say that I want to echo something that Jamie brought up earlier. I hate to put it in such capitalistic terms, but I think that considering the return on investment here can be really valuable. Kind of asking yourself, how much would it cost me to participate in this or to join in on that activity? How much is it going to trigger me or upset me? What would the sacrifice look like? Now, if we're talking about family pressure to actually take on a belief system other than our own, I don't know that you can really put the toothpaste back into the tube. You can go to church, but if you don't believe in God, I don't think that you can really believe in God. I don't know that that's a willful decision that we might make. I am obviously not here volunteering for an atheist organization because I think that the world has benefited from people being more flexible and more willing to go to church. But I do want to encourage people to ask themselves, what would it cost and what would it gain me in terms of family unity and connection and relationship? What is it going to hurt in terms of my own identity, feeling respected by the people around me, respecting myself and holding on to my own values? I think asking those questions in a sincere way is an important part of this conversation.
Right. I can give you just a personal example. I started questioning my faith around maybe 8. And then by the time I was a teenager, I just didn't believe anymore. And I grew up in a very Catholic household. My parents were very, very hardcore Catholics. And, when I came out to them, or not, I don't want to sound like that. When I went to them and told them that I don't really believe in that, their response was, if you live in this house, you're Catholic. And so I'm like, God, I got to pretend so that I'm not homeless. That's what that was my first thought. I have to pretend so that I still have a home as a teenager.
That is extremely, extremely harrowing. It's also quite common.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we've heard stories similar to that in the past. In that case, again, it's a much harder calculation to make, and often it comes down on I just have to get through this until such time as I can be independent. But it is that if you have an out, if you can find an out, if it is so egregious, the imposition of these religious constraints upon you, as to be considered imposing on your own human rights in a significant way. Some people have sought emancipation for such things and gotten out from under their parents and really gone to extremes to escape those situations. And that's the nuclear option, but it's necessary for some people. Now, if you have the resilience to continue that, I'll use some phrasing that I use in my day job when I talk to cancer patients on the daily who are put in situations that they didn't ask for and shouldn't be in. And I say to them that it isn't fair. It isn't fair that this is happening to you. It isn't fair. And in your case, it wasn't fair for them to do that to you. But it is as it is. You can't undo it. So you have to build tools to cope with it or escape from it, basically. and
Mhm.
and it's going to vary from severity to severity. That was a very severe situation you were in. I can only imagine how difficult it would be. I mean, and that they would, and that having the conversation of saying, well, you understand that while I will continue to undertake the tasks that are expected of me as a Catholic. I will go to mass and I'll take communion and I will go to confession and things like that. I'm not going. You can't make me believe in any of it. Even that conversation could be enough of a risk to get you chucked out. So it's that. These are topics that are implicitly known to everyone in this room, and no one's going to talk about it because they don't. It's too sore. So I don't really have that much advice other than almost a daily reassessment of, can I stand this life? If so, for long enough to get through it. If so, then fine. If not, be proactive, make a plan, get out, find support. That's what I'd say. And if in the context of the holidays, or if you've had religious trauma in the past and had family that have become so hardcore that you've become separated from them, but you're forced to be in their company again, or they're asking you to be in their company again, honesty, like have a plan. If you think you can go to mass and say your prayers and sing and just not mention the fact that you're not believing any of this, and just perform it for their comfort, because their comfort is reward enough for your sacrifice, then do that. But if you can't do that, don't try to do that. Be honest, saying, I will come and I will even do the things you would like me to do with you as a family. I will come to mass. I will do these things. But I'm going to say right now, before I come, I will not be believing any of it is real. And if you can't deal with that, then I can't be with you. And they will either accept it or they won't.
I was wondering, you mentioned that you volunteer with cancer patients.
Mm-hmm.
I have a chronic illness myself,
mm-hmm.
and it's not as bad as cancer, but I have a chronic psychiatric condition that I need constant treatment for. And sometimes there have been people who've come up to me and tell me, you need Jesus in order to get better. Or, and that is what affected me more than my parents, is having people, like I was at a support group once and it was held at a church, but I did, a lot of people rent out church basements. So I didn't really think that much of it, because a different support group I had gone to was held at a church and it was secular. So I didn't think much of it. I just thought maybe they booked it or something. And this person, like in front of everyone, was like, I was talking about how I was struggling with my disorder, and she just blurted out, "Oh my God, when are you gonna accept Jesus Christ in your life?" And I was just like, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is a spiritual based place." But even if it was a spiritual base, like, you would think, right, that that would be still inappropriate to say that.
It is. I think it is. The thing is with these kinds of support groups, and Christy will probably be able to back me up on this, they don't need accreditation. It's just people meeting and under a mutual banner. And yes, the intersection of religion and health is another sticky subject that I've encountered many times. People who think that they don't need to do certain treatments or follow certain advice because they have God on their side, and having to hold your tongue because, it's not my place to disabuse them of that notion in my role outside here. If they called in with that to the ACA, I'd be right on. I'm going, show me the peer-reviewed paper that Jesus will cure your cancer. But again, I would say just appeal to rationality and skepticism on it if you can. Say, well, if you can show evidence it to me, then I might be convinced. But Otherwise, I'm going to have to just ask you not to suggest that again. Like, or
Right. And the thing is that some of these people would tell me that while I was getting sicker, so my ability to examine that, it was harder because you're more vulnerable, right?
I tell you, they get you sometimes. And one of the types of conversation starters, and we've had it with people who call the show, and that really reach into my chest cavity and grab my heart and twist it, is people who have the story of, I was at my lowest ebb, I was on drugs, I was lost, and then I found Jesus. And all I hear is, I was vulnerable, and Jesus found me and hunted me and took me. Because it's such a common story, because you are easily susceptible when you are weak, when you're going through the darkest times, when you're desperate for any kind of support, any kind of knowledge. A lot of people want to know why these things happen to them. Is there a reason behind it? And often there isn't. But when someone comes up and gives you a comfortable lie, it's easy to fall into that trap. And it breaks my heart every time, going back to our conversations of when can religion be actively harmful. That's when.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that because my condition is psychiatric, and it affects how I think, it affects how I feel, and if I'm starting to get sick again, because it's recovery is never a straight line.
Sure.
When I start to get, if I start to get sick again, I don't have the same mechanisms to reject what they're saying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, your defenses go down in much the same way that Jamie was talking about. I'll guess I'll just say that I really believe in the model of religion as something of a thought virus, and that our immune system can be weakened by the stresses and the other challenges that we have going on in life, and that religion can be incredibly predatory in that way. I'm sorry that this is something that you are battling with, and I can appreciate if the constant pressure from your family is something that you need to have very active and intentional boundaries around.
Yeah, just to reiterate, it's not fair.
Well, don't feel sorry for me though. I found a treatment that works, and I haven't had a hospitalization in 3 years.
Glad to hear it.
You know what? Recovery is possible for anyone. You just got to figure out what's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations and good on you. And thank you so much for giving us a call today.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Hope you have a good Sunday.
Give it up.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. That you might notice by my tone of that gets to me. That fucks me off proper hardcore. And
yeah, the no atheist in a foxhole notion that, when everybody's suffering, that's when God can get in. And
then finding your tribe, finding support systems that work for you, it can be quite difficult, especially in things like the mental health space and support, or just general support, because religion has a monopoly on charity. It's kind of weird. I'm lucky that I work for a secular charity, and I volunteer for a secular organisation. I can avoid much of those pitfalls, but organisations that require you to sit and get lectured, get sermoned at before they give you a sandwich, it's all a bit creepy to me.